Today, we're diving into something called the cortisol connection. We're going to look at how stress doesn't just mess with your head, it literally rewires your body and your brain.
So, have you ever felt like that? Like your body's internal alarm system is just stuck on? You're always on edge, always a little overwhelmed, like you're running from something but you don't even know what it is? Yeah, that feeling is super common today.
Well, it turns out that alarm is being run by a hormone called cortisol. And you've probably heard of it, right? But what it actually does, well, it's a lot deeper and way more interesting than you might think. So here's the plan. In the next 5 minutes, we are going to break down how cortisol rewires you from your body right up to your brain. And most importantly, we'll get into how you can start to take back control. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, your body's alarm system. First things first, we've got to understand what cortisol is actually supposed to do. You know, it's not the bad guy here. It's actually a super important part of our survival kit. Yeah, so everyone calls it the stress hormone, but that's kind of misleading. Its real job title should be the fight or flight hormone. I mean, it's the stuff that gets your body ready to handle real, actual danger. Okay, think of it this way. Cortisol is basically your body's built-in fire alarm. And when it goes off, it's yelling, "Emergency, time to move." It's designed to help you run from danger and to do it fast. So when everything's working right, the process is pretty straightforward. Your brain spots a threat, that kicks your HPA axis into gear, then your adrenal glands pump out cortisol, and boom, you get a massive surge of energy. But here's the key part. Once the danger's gone, the alarm is supposed to shut off. That's crucial. Okay, Section 2, when the alarm breaks. This is where things get tricky, because that system I just described, it's built for short-term physical threats. So what happens when the danger is your inbox, or a deadline, or just constant worry? Right. What happens when the stress isn't a tiger in the bushes, but it's chronic? When that alarm is just always, always on? That's the reality for a lot of us. And this visual here really shows what's going on. In a healthy response, you see that cortisol spike, and then a nice, clean drop. But under chronic stress, look at that other line. Those are inflammatory cytokines. They go up, and they just stay there. They don't come back down. And that creates this constant smoldering fire of inflammation in your body. And that right there is where the real trouble begins. So why does this happen? Well, there's this thing called glucocorticoid resistance. See, cortisol is normally a powerful anti-inflammatory. It's supposed to tell your immune system to chill out. But when your immune cells are just bombarded with cortisol 24/7, they basically start to tune it out. They get desensitized. They stop listening to that calm down signal. This is a perfect way to picture it. It's like your body's firefighters, those are your immune cells, have been hearing that alarm screaming for so long that they just go deaf to it. They put in their earplugs and stop responding. All while the fire, that inflammation, just starts to spread unchecked. Which brings us to Section 3, a body on fire. So what happens when those firefighters go on strike? This isn't just some vague hormonal imbalance. Oh, no. This has very real, very physical consequences. And here is the absolute crux of it. This breakdown means that modern stress, the stress from your job, your relationships, just life, doesn't just feel bad. It creates physical inflammation. That feeling of being burnt out, turns out it's way more literal than any of us thought. Okay, I know this looks super complicated, so don't get hung up on the details. This is something called the social signal transduction theory. And all you really need to know is that it's the scientific roadmap showing how your brain can take something like social stress, feeling rejected, lonely, isolated, and turn it into a real inflammatory response. It's literally the science of how feeling bad emotionally can make you sick physically. And this is where it gets absolutely wild. Just look at this side by side. On the left, you've got the symptoms of inflammation, what your body does when it's sick. On the right, the clinical symptoms of depression. They're pretty much the same thing, aren't they? Fatigue, wanting to be alone, not enjoying things anymore. This is no accident. A huge body of research now points to chronic inflammation as a major, major biological cause of depression. But wait, it doesn't even stop there. We're now moving into Section 4, stress and brain shrinkage. Because the damage from chronic stress goes beyond inflammation. It goes right into the physical structure of your brain. So can chronic stress literally change the shape and size of your brain? I mean, we've known for a while that things like depression are linked to a loss of brain volume, but the question has always been, how? Can stress actually shrink your brain? Well, buckle up. Researchers at Yale found that the answer is a resounding yes.
And they've actually found the culprit, a single genetic switch, something called GATA1, that gets flipped to the on position by chronic stress.
So here's the chain reaction that happens. 1. Chronic stress flips on that GATA1 switch. 2. GATA1 then goes and literally silences the genes that your brain needs to build and maintain connections. 3. You start losing synapses, the links between your neurons. And 4. All of that contributes to an actual loss of brain volume. It's a direct pathway from stress to a physical change in your brain.
Okay, I know that was a lot of doom and gloom, but here's the good news. The science doesn't just show us the problem, it also points to the solutions. Let's get into section 5, resetting your stress response. It's all about how we can start turning that alarm off.
Now, when it comes to stress management, a lot of us think more is better, right? Like you got to do a 20-minute meditation or it doesn't count. But check this out. A study found something that kind of turns that idea on its head. This quote says it all. For people who are new to this stuff, practicing mindfulness for just 5 minutes actually had a bigger effect on their stress than practicing for 20. Isn't that amazing? It suggests that doing something small and consistently is way more powerful than trying to do something big and intimidating that you might quit. And hey, mindfulness is great, but it's not the only tool in the toolbox. The research is really clear on a few other big ones. We're talking about the fundamentals: getting good, consistent sleep, moving your body for about 150 to 200 minutes a week, eating real food, fruits, veggies, healthy fats, and of course, connecting with people you care about. Every single one of these is a lever you can pull to help reset that body alarm. So here's the final takeaway. The very same systems that get all messed up by chronic stress are the ones that we can directly influence with small, simple daily actions. So it really leaves us with one powerful question to think about. If just 5 minutes can start to literally rewire your stress response, what could you do with your next 5 minutes?